be here with all of you. So there's this first grade teacher, and she's observing her class as she's walking around, and they're drawing pictures and coloring, and they have all their little art supplies out, and she comes upon little Susie, and she says, "Oh, Susie, what are you drawing?" Susie says, "Oh, I'm drawing a picture of God." So the teacher pauses, and she says, "You know, Susie, none of us really know what God looks like." And without skipping a beat, she didn't even look up at the teacher, just kept her pen drawing. She said, "Yeah, well, they will in a minute." Yeah, well, they will in a minute. How beautiful to be so pure and to be so confident. I think, here we are. So it's great to be here. Fabulous to be here with you today. My name is Denise DeSimone, and for these new people, because I really don't need an introduction unless new people show up, which we seem to have a few of today. I am one of the founding members of Unity on the River in Amesbury, Massachusetts. I've been a member there for 20 years, and it's my great pleasure to travel around the country and do a lot of speaking and teaching at Unity churches, and this is one of my favorite places to come to, so it's great to be here. I was also diagnosed with stage 4 throat and neck cancer 10 years ago and was given 3 months to live. And so that gives me great pleasure to wake up every day and say, yes, thank you, thank you. So the talk title for today is Yes. And the way this came about was at Unity on the River, we had a minister, Shipley Allenson. Some of you, of course, know her. Shipley decided to retire a few years ago, and we were without a minister for many months, almost a year. And so I had spoken there many times, and after speaking at the same church, and it's my home church 10, 12, 15 times, what else am I going to talk about? So I went out for a walk, which is what I love to do, and things just get downloaded to me. And I saw, when I said, "Spirit, what do I talk about this Sunday?" I saw the word yes just across the sky. And I said, "Well, I've already said yes. What am I supposed to talk about?" And I heard, "It stands for your evolved self." And I did that too. I did a When you get a you're like, yeah. I said, all right, let me go to work on this. So yes is potentially the most powerful word in the world. In 2 Corinthians chapter 1:20, it says, "For all of God's promises have been fulfilled in Christ with a resounding yes." A resounding yes. "And through Christ our amen," which actually means yes, "ascends to God for all glory." Now, Christ is the divine man and woman. You know, growing up Catholic, I thought Christ was Jesus' last name. You know, I'm Denise DeSimone. His name was Jesus Christ. It took a while to realize, no, Christ's been around. The essence and the energy of Christ has been around for much longer than Jesus, the man that we knew, all powerful and great, and knew how to work in and out of the fifth dimension. So Christ abides in every single one of us, and Christ is our potential perfection. And to live in the perfection of the God mind is really what the Christ mind is. And so in order for us to say yes to our evolved self, we really need to be evolved to get to the place to keep saying yes, to keep evolving. And we're going to talk a little bit more about something cool that I discovered in a few moments. So yes and no are the yin and the yang, the positive and the negative. And they have everything in life is vibration. I also teach sound healing, and I'm all about vibration. Everything in life is vibrating. And so when we say yes and when we say no, it has a different vibration. So just to play with me and just to see how you can sense this yourself, just with a nice boastful voice, say yes.
Yes.
Now say no.
No.
What feels better? Yes feels better. Doesn't yes feel better? You know, there are times to say no, But today we're really talking about the yes. But I'm going to talk in a few minutes about how important saying yes to saying no is. I know that's a little trick of your mind, but you get what I'm saying, Patricia, don't you? So, think about all the people that went before us. Think about Jesus and Gandhi and the Fillmores and Martin Luther King and John Lennon. I mean, imagine if Jesus said no. Imagine if Jesus said, oh, I'm just busy making stuff. I don't really have time for all that. And what if Christopher Columbus said, oh, that's a long ride. That's a long way to go, and I'm not sure of the outcome. How often are we not so sure of the outcome? So we say, I don't think so. Gandhi says, I kind of like my suit. I'm not one for some white rags. I really like my suit. I'm going to keep it. So we have to understand that, saying yes is sometimes scary. But it's what's important. Yes is a total game changer. Yes means it invites conversation. It empowers each of us to come together. It's not an addition. Yes is a multiplication. It's an exponential energy when we say yes. And yes equaling meaning your evolved self. Evolve means to change, to progress gradually into a better, more complex or more advanced state, shifting your vibration. So when we do this, when we look at the word evolve, how do we do this? How do we evolve spiritually? How do we shift our vibration? And again, everything is vibration. And if everything is vibration, what is the highest vibration? Love. Thank you. Love is the highest vibration. Now, I don't know about you, but it's no accident that when you spell love backwards and weave it through itself, it spells evolve. Who knew that? Well, not till today. I was in a year-long shamanic course, and I was sitting with 25 people for a weekend every month or 5 weeks, and we were in this process. We had to sit still for hours and hours, and I was looking at this word love on the wall, and it was those big wooden letters. And I started to play with the word, and I thought, wow, that's trippy. You spell love backwards. It's evolve. So it's no accident. And I know for me, when I really was able to give myself to love, and I'm sure you'll agree, when I was really, really able to give myself to love, which I did when I did what I did with cancer, I fell in love with it. It couldn't hurt me anymore. When I totally surrendered to love, I evolved beyond my wildest imagination. As humans, our natural default sometimes is to say no. And when no becomes a dominant voice in our head, it acts like an autoimmune disease. It actually shuts down the possibilities in our lives. It actually blocks movement, and it blocks momentum, and it blocks motion, and it blocks progress. Now again, there are times when we have to say no, but most of the time, we default to say no. Imagine if Moses said no. How many people went by that bush? Maybe they didn't notice it. I don't know, but Moses was paying attention. And when Jesus started talking to him about taking on a big task, Moses said, you know what? I'm just a sheep herder for my father-in-law. Who am I? Who am I to do this? I'm just doing my day job. You and I are no different than Moses. God sees the potential perfection for each of us and gives us things, puts them in front of us, and we do this. Moses couldn't do this. God stayed with him. God said, Moses' impulse was to say, no, I can't do it. God said, go gather the allies. Didn't he say? Go gather the allies. Go gather the elders. They will help you go to Pharaoh. Do your part, and I will do my part. And God did her part, didn't she? God issues all of us an invitation in our lives. God issues all of us an invitation for what it is that we will become our fuller, more evolved self. And the God that is within us is the one that always takes us where we need to go. And I know I'm speaking to the choir, but when we think God is outside, which the best lunatic in this room and in this world doesn't always remember, do we? We don't always remember this. So today, let this be an invitation to, yes, remember. Oh, okay, all right. I'm off track a little bit. Come in. Come inside. How do I get with my God that knows the Christ itself in here? You know, when I wrote my book, I said no, no, no. Spirit said yes, yes, yes. And when I finally stepped forward and I said yes, Providence rushed in like you can't believe. I don't want to give you the details, but I will tell you, just trust me, Providence rushed in that I had everything I needed to write a book and publish it and sell it and make a difference. See, it wasn't about me, folks. When we say yes to what God is asking us to do, it is not just for us. Most of the time, if we think it's just for us, it ain't the real yes. And it's not the real request. That book is not about me and for me. It's about everybody else who sends me, so many emails and letters, and this book changed my life. Because it's inspiring people who are suffering and struggling, not just with cancer, but with life. And if I had kept saying no and denying why, you see, I needed to know why, and God rushed in with the how. Isn't it just funny how we always want to know how? Columbus didn't want to know how. He said, I know why. I want to figure this out and go see if this thing's really flat. And if I fall off the end, well, I'll see what's next. But why don't we say yes to the why? I call it the ants. In Matthew 10:36, he says, "For a person's foes will be those of his own household." What does he mean? A person's foes will be those of his own or her own household. Now, that doesn't mean the person sitting across from you at the dinner table. Or maybe your brother-in-law who lives with you won't go get a job. Or maybe your kid's driving you crazy. This is the household he's talking about. Right here between your ears. And what he's talking about is what I call the ants. And now ants stands for automatic negative thoughts that steal your good. The human brain produces 70,000 plus thoughts a day. Every 1.2 seconds you're having a thought. Most of the time, they're really not positive, are they? That takes work. That takes progress. That takes process. That takes love. That takes self-love. That takes saying yes. And not letting your automatic default pull you in. Oftentimes we say no at the craziest times about the craziest things. I'm going to give you a little example which everybody can relate to. So you're in your car, right? You're in your car and you're driving and somebody comes along and you started your day great and you're so happy. And you're driving along and all of a sudden somebody just wants to kind of edge in and cut in front of you. And you're absolutely not. And so you start showing some hand mudras maybe and, you're going down and absolutely not. So then they really get aggressive and there's no way, you don't want to hurt your new car. So you just have to allow them to cut in front of you. Now you're ticked off and your whole vibration's twisted like a knot. Right, Jack? Now how do you think the rest of your day's going? Not so good. So now let's reverse it. Let's go back and get in the car. It's a happy day. It's a beautiful day. You get in the car. You're in your new car going to work. And somebody just kind of has to edge in because who knows what's going on with them. We don't know what their ants are saying. So you just put your brake on and you go like this. After you. How nice does it feel to just say yes? Just say yes. This simple act, it speaks to who we are, not who we want to become. It speaks to who we are being. And the self-love that we have with a capital S, that's nothing going to disturb us. And our default no is not going to take us out of who we are, the truth of who we are. You know, to be an evolved self, it is an intention that really requires our attention, just like love. These things in our lives are intentions that require our attention. So, you know, if you want to, the best way to evolve is to allow ourselves to love ourselves enough to explore the things and the places and the people we say no to. You know, why won't we let that person come in front of us? Why won't we let the person across from the dinner table offer something that we say no? Or the person sleeping in the same bed with you? Or the children that you're raising? Why do we fall into an automatic default of no? A lot of those things are ants from the parental units. We have this habitual stuff going on, but it's not even our stuff. It's not even what we have, you know, put in place in our own lives. We got learned ants, we have inherited ants, we have our own life experiences. We have things that we do that are totally crazy just because it's the way they've always been done. One of the most devastating statements is, well, we've always done it that way. You know, not long ago, a friend of mine and I were at lunch, and she got there before I did. And we were in this diner. It's a big restaurant. And she walked in, sat down, and I came a few minutes behind her. And I walked in the door all the way through all the tables, down, sat over here with her, and we got up to leave. And there was a door right there to leave. And I didn't go. She went to go out the door, and I go, I got to go out this other door. And she goes, oh, okay. Well, see, she gets it. She's Italian. My mother said, you got to go out the door you came in. You got to go out the door you came in. I never even asked her why. I just go out the door I came in. So I was just down in North Carolina speaking at Unity in Greensboro, and a good friend of mine lives there. And she, everywhere we went, she made me go out a different door. And it was hard. I'm like, oh, geez, Mama. But think about it. Say, let's examine the things that we do just by, some of them are cool and okay, but some of them are not serving us. Some of them have, you know, fear attached. Let's examine all those things. Say no to fear that keeps us from the exploration of looking at how we can say yes more often. You know, I was raised by a fabulous mom. All Italian, loved to cook, loved to bake, loved to eat, loved to laugh, loved to tell jokes. Couldn't get to the punchline. She was laughing too hard. Fabulous woman. But she had Lil's rule book of life. And she had a lot of judgment. And when I started to look at my aunts and I started to look at self-exploration, now, I had a lot of time to look at this. I sat and was fed through a tube in my stomach for 9 months. I couldn't eat, I couldn't talk, I couldn't drink water, nothing. I don't want you to have to go to that extreme. Just listen to what I'm saying and learn it so you don't have to do that. But so I started to realize I had my own rule book of life. And that didn't really serve me that well. So I started to look at turning judgment into curiosity. When I felt like I wanted to judge somebody, I'd say, gee, let me be curious about that. Let me see how I can learn to turn that into a curiosity because I want to be more peaceful. I want that inner vibration. That intention to be more loving is going to take my attention to look at curiosity instead of being judgmental. Now, does it happen all the time? No. I told you I'm Italian and I'm a woman. You're going to fall into judgment. We're here in a dense body. So we have to look at when our automatic no is actually taking over and sucking us into the vortex that we don't belong in. Now, understanding our power to say yes, it helps us hold on to being able to say no. You know, there are times in Matthew 5:37, what's it say? Let your yes be yes and your no be no. Say no to the patterns and the learned behaviors that keep us playing small. You know, our God-given power is our gift of choice. Our God-given power is our free will. That's why some of this stuff is going on, because people have free will. But we want free will, but it's how we use it. And there are times, again, which I said, we have to learn to say no. You know, when I was diagnosed and they wanted to do chemo. Now, this is just my story, folks. If you know people doing the cancer dance, it's their own journey. I chose no chemo. And I know that flies in the face of a lot of things. I let them do it once, and I said on the way home with my best friend Masha of 37 years sitting in the back row, no more. I ain't doing it. There ain't no chemo going in my body. I don't care that my aunt told me it's holy water, it's not going in here. I knew I had to say a very firm yes to those doctors that there was no more chemo going in my body. I don't think I'd be here today with you if I had let that happen. And because of fear, we discount who we are. We discount our knowing. We discount this brain. It's in our, I had a gut feeling. That's where your yeses live. It doesn't live up here in your household filled with ants. Get down in here. Get down in your heart. Get down in your gut. And know who you are. Aligned with your God, so you make the decisions in your life that work for you. Because when you're filled with love, it just spills out all over everybody. So where does this apply in your life? Think about it. It's not about me up here today. I'm just a messenger. Where do these things apply in your life? You know, UC Berkeley's Greater Good Science Center says researchers study the neurobiology of positive emotions. Christine Carter is a sociologist there, and she has written a book about bringing up happy kids, and it's called Raising Happiness. She says your brain operates in a really different way when you perceive resistance or are resisting. When you are positive or expecting a yes, your field of vision actually expands. Your field of vision expands. How cool is that? It actually gets larger. And when you're anxious or perceiving a threat, which brings about an extreme state of resistance, your vision needs to narrow down in order for you to actually focus. Now, when you're not in the state of anxious resistance, she says, you're able to take in more stimulus across the board versus only being able to see what's right in front of you. So saying yes actually expands our vision. It's time to expand our vision. It's time to say yes. It's time to say yes to all the things like faith. It's time to say yes to evolve. It's time to say yes to being healthy. It's time to say yes to being more accepting. It's time to say yes to forgive. It's time to say yes to knowing your own power of who you are within your own self. To say yes, yes, yes. It's time to say yes to kindness and understanding. It's time to say yes to your dreams. It's time, people. The world needs us now. We are the light workers. It's time to say yes to God's invitation to you and to you and to you and to you and to you. Because people think this is not an individual problem, what's going on, and it's maybe not a problem, it's just a polarization happening to give us what we need to see, but it's time to say yes because the planet is made up of 7 billion individuals. So it's time to say yes. It's time to take action. Practice doing this week. Practice turning your automatic default no into a yes. After identifying 5 of these yeses, turn it for 10 days and just get a new groove in your mind. Get a new pathway in your brain. Carve a new pathway that says yes. Michael Beckwith, someone asks him a question, and before they get it out of their mouth, you know what he says? Yes. And they say, Michael, I haven't even asked you the question. He says, well, there's nothing you could ask me that I'd say no to. Imagine living in that power. Practice that. Say yes and then complete the sentence differently when you think you're going to say no. Give yourself a big yes when you know that you have done something that you really tuned into yourself. And you're saying yes to God. And say yes to your big dreams. Now, are you somebody?
Yes.
Louder. Are you somebody?
Yes.
Are you awake?
Yes.
Are you strong?
Yes.
Are you creative?
Yes.
Are you ready to give yourself to love?
Yes.
Are you willing to evolve?
Yes.
Are you a perfect expression of the Christ?
Yes.
Amen. God bless you.
You have been watching the message from our Sunday celebration service here at Unity on Cape Cod, providing a positive path for spiritual living. Please join us every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. at 147 Walton Ave, Hyannis, Mass. And visit us online at www.unityoncapecod.org.